In previous years, they've been able to kind of manage with only Jakob Poeltl being their center, but there was a clear, distinct drop off a cliff when Jakob Poeltl was out injured. But he was in, the Raptors were much better. He's a great player. But this year, unfortunately, we haven't seen Jakob Poeltl at his best, and I think the back injury is a major contributor to that. It's just so obvious Raptors need help in that position. They need to bring in a player who can help them in their depth at the center position. So let's go through the players Raptors could realistically target this season and bring in to their team to help them there. And there's a lot of names floating around online, a lot of which I think are unrealistic, a lot of which I think are realistic, but maybe don't help the Raptors. And I think I found at least 2 names on this list here today that I think are seriously players that could provide stability to the spot. Look, if we're talking about realistic players the Raptors could acquire to trade, we are not talking about world beaters. We're not talking about guys who are going to set the world alight with the way they're going to play for that. We're talking about guys who can provide stability to the depth in this position. So we're going to start off. I have 5 names I want to discuss. We're going to start with 2 players who I think would be great. I just don't think the Raptors can justify the assets they would have to give up in order to get them, but I think they'd be great. Then we're going to do 2 players I think would make sense. Maybe not the flashiest pickups, but 2 players who I think could provide, again, the stability to the position that we're looking for. And finally, we're going to end off with a name that Raptors fans have found extremely popular, but I actually think wouldn't really help the team nearly as much as people think. So make sure you stick around until that point. And we're not going to go through names like Anthony Davis video. That's not what this is about. We're not talking about the superstar trade. We are talking about guys who can fill out the depth in this position. That is what our focus is in this spot. So first name on the list, this is one of the more popular names right now. It is definitely Daniel Gafford. Right now, the Dallas Mavericks have had, they're spiraling a little bit. They've had a really rough start to the season. The roster is built terrifically. Their general manager, Nico Harrison, has been fired. Large part of that was trading away Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis, who now, less than a year later, they might be actually looking to already trade away. So it could be a bit of a fire sale mode for the Dallas Mavericks, who may want to tank, build around Cooper Flagg through the draft. If they have a desire to tank, sell off some players, I think that Derek Lively is a center they're going to want to build around, so Daniel Gafford could become one of the centers that all of a sudden becomes available for a trade. Now, Daniel Gafford, been a good pickup for the Magic since he was acquired there from the Washington Wizards. Solid contract. It's solid for what he's providing. Definitely. This year he's making $14.3 million. Then it goes up to 17.2, 18.1, then 18.9 over the next 3 years. So you have a good amount of confidence in that contract. You're going to keep him around. He's not going to be aging too much in that. He's only going to be 30 into the contract. A lot of confidence can come from getting Daniel Gafford in a trade with the longevity. So I think that this is a player, like maybe not a player that's like the perfect type in terms of like rim protection and defense. I think that's really what the Raptors should be focused on in this one. Getting a player who's actually going to help them with rim protection and defense. That I think is what they're missing the most. Rebounding is also very important. But Daniel Gafford is not like necessarily an elite rebounder, not exactly like an elite rim protector, but a very good player providing energy to the team and can provide a lot of stability to position. I think he does enough there where you'd be really happy having him off the bench, maybe even like splitting minutes with Poeltl, give Poeltl like 26 minutes a game, have Gafford in for the other 22 minutes, or maybe like, 25, 20, whatever you want to do there. Gafford would be a really nice pickup. But Gafford is a very talented player. I don't really see the Dallas Mavericks being keen to let him go for, unless there's a good trade involved. So I think Daniel Gafford is going to fit into the category here at the start where it's a little bit, probably rather to give too much to justify this. They need to look at someone who's going to be a little bit cheaper for a trade. Next name that has to come up here is, and as we go through, send some names in the chat, and at the end I'll react to these as well. Next one I want to bring up here, and it's already been mentioned in the chat by MJ right down here, Day'Ron Sharpe. He's also going to fit into this category with Daniel Gafford of Yeah, it'd be great, but it's probably going to cost a little bit too much in order to bring him in. Yeah, I think Daron Sharpe's an excellent fit here for this position. Provides a very solid amount of energy off the bench. Provides the traits that you're looking for. He's a good rebounder. He's a solid defender. Can give you some goods on offense. Fits with the team well. Kind of in the age bracket we're looking for and developing going forward. But the Brooklyn Nets are rebuilding, and a 24-year-old center with a lot of talent is usually a player you want to keep on your team while you are attempting to rebuild. So that's just kind of I'm going to simply put it like that. I don't see any reason why the Brooklyn Nets would have a desire to trade him. You can obviously send in an offer that is acceptable enough that, you can pry him away. But I just don't really see why the Brooklyn Nets would have any interest in trading Daron Sharpe. And I don't think the Raptors are in a position where they can be shelling out for a player in this position. So for me, unlikely to see Daron Sharpe or Daniel Gafford. But hey, I mean, if we can make it happen for a good trade, I would love to have either of those two guys on the team. We're going to go into some way less sexy names here, but players I think still have the juice to help this team, to give this team something. And the first name on that list, I think, we're heading towards the twilight of his career. I think there's enough juice here that this guy can provide some stability to this position and help the Raptors for the rest of the season, potentially next season as well. The first name of the realistic targets for the Raptors is Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez, currently an LA Clipper, has had a lot of success previously with the Milwaukee Bucks, but his career is winding down. That being said, he can still give you some stability as a rim protector. Can give you a little bit of floor spacing as well. As we know, I think this would be a pretty good fit for the Raptors bench to back up Jakob Poeltl. Not making a lot of money, $8.7 million this year. Team option, which is nice for next year, of $9.1 million. The Los Angeles Clippers have struggled this season. They are, speaking of teams that are spiraling, like the Clippers, really supposed to be a high-quality team this season. They have not looked like it at all. They are 6-19 on the year. Not a lot of sense in having like a 36, 37-year-old on a team that's this bad. They could start to look at maybe getting off some players, maybe getting some expiring contracts. And hey, we have one of those in Ochai Agbaji. That could be a player that is tempting to the Clippers, maybe even a player they look to re-sign and bring back next year because he's going to be a restricted free agent as his rookie contract is ending. I think Brook Lopez still has a little bit of juice and is kind of what you're looking for in this spot. Come off the bench, maybe give you like 14 to 18 minutes a game, still shooting above 35% from three. Maybe can even stretch that further on a team if they're performing better than the Clippers are. Can still give you enough by way of rim protection. I think that this is the type of player the Raptors could be targeting here that I think it could help them. Again, we're looking for stability in the position. We're looking for depth in this position. I think Brook Lopez does provide that. And nice to have one who can space the floor a little bit to go with it. The other player I have in this category as realistic, not sexy, but a realistic name that could help the Raptors, help them kind of bridge the gap of time here, give them a solid backup option to Jakob Poeltl, even a little bit more experience as well. And for this player, again, not like a name that's going to move the needle a ton, but again, providing that stability here. It's Kevon Looney from the New Orleans Pelicans. He's making similar money, $8 million this year, team option, so you have control of $8 million next year. Kevon Looney currently with the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans could be tempted by some draft capital. We're not shelling out a first-round pick here, but an expiring contract like Agbaji again. That might even be enough to just move off of him. Provides that stability to the position here. Look, can he give you 13, 14, 15 minutes a game? Can he rebound for you? Can he protect the rim a bit better than what you've been getting lately? Again, it's not like a huge name here. He's definitely kind of winding down. I know he's not even 30 yet, but he's regressed a bit. But I still think that this is a player that could help the Raptors get through what should be a season they're targeting to make the playoffs. These are the type of names that you could be looking at. It's an expiring contract if you want it to be at the end of the season. I don't think the Raptors are finding like a long-term fix here. I think that they can use Agbaji. I like Agbaji. I don't think they'll miss him tremendously. And they really fill a void in a position that they actually need somebody. And Brook Lopez, Kevon Looney kind of fit into that category for me. I wonder if the Raptors are thinking in the same way. Those are the 4 players so far. Last name on the list. This would be a real sexy name to pick up. But this is a player that I think has gone. This is a very talented player. I'm not going to deny that. This is a player that has gone very overrated in the Raptors camp for what they believe he could do to the team. And that is Myles Turner. The Bucks could definitely be looking to move off of Myles Turner. The Bucks are probably going to trade Giannis and need to start a rebuild. Myles Turner would be an expensive pickup for the Raptors, would probably cost some draft capital, but who knows? Maybe there's a cut price deal out there, given the fact that they want to kind of move in a different direction. Maybe there's a bit of pressure to move off of him, but Myles Turner is a good case of, I think it's a very good case of not quite understanding the needs of the Raptors right now and what you really need out of a modern center. I think Myles Turner is a great player. We saw that in the playoffs last year. He is a very good shooter out of the center position, which is extremely valuable. Where some value decrease, where a lot of value decreases for me, is he is not that great of a rim protector. He is a terrible rebounder. And for this position, the Raptors, in this backup spot, and if you trade for Turner, you're probably making him your starter, which I find unlikely the Raptors to be able to do. But if you're getting a player like Myles Turner, you're not getting the rim protection levels that you really ideally want. You're nowhere near getting the rebounding you want. It's pretty astonishing that Myles Turner is like, he's 6'11". I don't think he's, I was going to say, I don't think he's quite 7. It's listed here at 6'11". And he's averaging 5.5 rebounds per game in 28.6 minutes. Like, it's pretty astonishing that a player of his size is averaging less than 7 rebounds a game per 36. He's just an awful rebounder in general, and it's crazy given the size. Like, look at this. This tweet here, Myles Turner. This is from Pips NBA. Guy I used to work with heavily at my job. He says Myles Turner is nearly 7 feet tall, starting center. He has had 3 or less rebounds in 7 straight games. Truly amazing accomplishment. There are teams that can manage that and the value of the 3-point shooting is enough. I really do not believe like the Raptors are one of those teams. So I do not believe that an investment in Myles Turner is the answer that so many people kind of think it is for the Raptors. But let's see some other names in the chat. What other names you guys are kind of going with here? Santi Aldama from the Grizzlies. That'd be an interesting one off the bench. Be tough to pry him away from the Grizzlies, though. Blackhawk says Goga Bitadze. Goga is awesome. Would be an awesome fit for this. But he's become pretty important to the Orlando rotation, especially with Mo Wagner injured. I mean, if Mo Wagner comes back and he's playing really well and he's out of rotation, maybe that changes. But I think they value Goga enough that it'd be tough to pry him off the Magic. So I don't think we can get that one done realistically. All about nothing. The Jared Allen if Cavs trash. Again, Jared Allen's a type like you're picking up probably to be a starter, and I don't see like a tremendous jump if you're doing that with like you have to trade Poeltl kind of do that. I don't really see that being realistic. Same can kind of be said for Claxton. It's just not a guy that's moving the needle where the Raptors needed to go because of the stuff they had to give up to do that. Maybe Clint Capella. Yeah, that's an interesting option. I think that's something that's in the realms of possibilities. I think that's a decent name actually to list here. So I like that one, all about nothing. Some stability for the position. Perfect guy would be Steven Adams, but he's entitled to rock. Yeah, Steven Adams isn't happening, but you're right. He would be an excellent pickup for this sort of role. But anyways, some names there. I think if you clicked on this, and you're looking for say you're listening to this segment here, you're probably wanting to hear a lot more fun names. But I think like Brook Lopez and Kevon Looney are realistic targets the Raptors could get that genuinely make them better, and you don't have to break the bank in order to get them.